Welcome to Manufacturing Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Manufacturing Talk Radio. I'm Tim Grady. I'm here with founder Lou Weiss. We're going to be talking about the Institute for Supply Management's Manufacturing Report on Business with committee chair Tim Fiore. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Yep, good to be here, guys.
So we're going to be interested because the number didn't go up. So we want to know where we're all at. The economy doesn't feel that bad. Yeah, we're all scratching our heads. Yeah. You tore all your hair out.
All right. So there's good stuff in this report, and then there's not so good stuff. So let's take the good stuff first. I'd rather talk about that. So the first good thing is production was flat to September. That's really good. You know, given the dynamics that we've been dealing with, and generally, if you look back over the last 3 or 4 months, it's been pretty stable. Output has been stable. Now, I'm using that as a surrogate for revenue. There's talk about people building inventory. I'm not really getting a lot of comments that support that. But, you know, with a 4% Q3 GDP, part of that is attributed to the building up of the inventory. I'm not sure why anybody would be doing that at this point, but okay. So, you know, our revenue side was pretty good. This is all on output. The second element of output, employment, that I include in the production piece, came down. 47, is it? Yeah, hold on. Let's see. Yeah, 47. Good. So as we've talked about with your listeners over the last few months, back in May, I've been tracking the hire to force manage ratio for about a year. Back in May, we saw a larger amount of layoffs being used to get headcount down compared to the prior periods. And that was, you know, as we're getting ready to close the first half of the year. And then in June, July, and August, you know, most of the respondents, to get headcounts down to a lower level, they used first attrition. And then last month, there was indications that freezes were used more prevalent. So attrition is the slowest way. But, you know, if you have a high quits rate, that attrition can work pretty quickly. If you don't have enough people quitting, so you can't get to a lower headcount through attrition, then you freeze, which means nobody can hire without me approving. And then the worst case is you lay off, and that means immediate. It's the most expensive, but it gets you there right away because you do the write down and you move on. So in the month of October, 52%, 53% of the actions to get headcount down were layoffs. And we also dropped to a 1.3 to 1 hire to force manage ratio. And it had been 2 to 1 for the prior 2 to 3 months. So, I mean, we're almost splitting hairs, but it's almost a 50% improvement or 50% degradation of optimism here between hiring and keeping people. So I think the positive here is that lower employment number, although it hurt the PMI, is a good thing. We're carrying too many people. We're getting ready to close the year. We're planning on 2024. And I think right now it kind of feels that people are going to say that the second half of this year was probably worse than the first half of the year. The first half of next year is going to probably be worse than this half, the second half of 2023. And that, you know, recovery is going to show up in the second half of 2024. So that's kind of what the narrative seems to be developing. And if that's the case, you're going to let people go because you're not going to hold them for 10 months. It's not going to happen. So, all right, makes sense. You know, release the people. You know, we don't want to see profit go in brackets. We don't want to see red. We don't want to see negatives. So if you can't, this isn't the European system where the government pays you to hold on to them for 2 years. This is a labor market that's very fluid, and we worked hard to hire the people. The fact is, it's time to probably let the lower performers go. And we'd all talked a while ago about how many people did we bring on, and are they really equivalent to 2019's one head? And we talked about the training and the work ethic and people not showing up and people going home in the middle of the day, mental health issues, not to make light of that, but So I think the whole employment thing is a good thing. I think the output side was good for the month. Hopefully it'll stay that way as we close the year. The input side it's fine. I mean, we're still delivering slower, but not as slow as we were the prior month, which is this is hard to talk about. But once we get above 50, we're definitely delivering slower. And that's a good thing. And that's a reflection really of either the suppliers destaffing, where they don't have the headcount to support the demand, or the demand overwhelming the current staffing structure, so they can't deliver fast enough. So that's a good thing. I still think before the year's over, we're going to get awfully close to a 50 on the supplier side, maybe Q1. And then the last element that goes into the input side that I really keep a close eye on, not only the manufacturing inventory, but also the prices. So manufacturing inventory really came down. I think that's probably a hangover from Q3. And because we always struggle here with the end of the quarter, because supply chain people really don't know what that month's inventory is until the month closes. So we might be seeing really an end of September number here, but my feeling is that we're going to see that number get above 45 in November. So it's an anomaly. Okay, that's fine. It's not a structural long-term issue. We've come a long way here with manufacturing inventory being so low. It's a really a good thing from a liquidity standpoint. So then let's talk a little bit about prices. Okay, prices still decline, but not as fast. And we had the energy markets kind of intervene, higher oil. We've got a lot of commodities now in transition between up and down, and they're coming from down and they're going to up. So that may not be a good thing. If I was the Fed, I'd probably be a little bit concerned about that. I want to see prices going down and continuing to go down. The fact that they might be plateauing and maybe going back up is not a good thing as far as the Fed's concerned. And, I think 45 is fine, but, we're probably going to stay below 50 before the year's over, but, we'll probably hang in that 45 to 49 range. So overall, not a bad report. Issue seems to be new orders. You dig into the new orders, and I think I mentioned this to you guys before the call, it's all computer and electronics, fabricated metal products, and machinery. Now, the fabricated metal products piece supports capital equipment, machinery in a big way, transportation equipment, that's capital equipment. But it's also, it's a big automotive feeder. So there may have been a combined effect here of capital being held back as well as automotive being held back because of the strikes. But machinery for sure, and computer and electronics, they're huge capital supply activities. So when people are investing in the future, they're buying computers, they're buying machinery. That's a rule of thumb. So to see those have new orders down in the low 30s, that kind of says that people are a little bit cautious about committing to expanding their current capability, refreshing it. Given the fact that interest rates are so high and that, borrowing money is much more expensive and the future is still so uncertain and lead times are still so long, they're waiting for lead times to come down, prices to collapse, a little bit more surety about the future before people re-up on the capital stuff. So I think we talked a little bit about this. This is going to be a good forecast. Our forecast comes out on the 15th of December. We're going to ask them how they did on capital and what they plan on doing on capital in 2024. And I think you're going to see numbers possibly even negative on capital for 2024.
One of your responders happened to be from the fabricated metal sector, is talking about a mild industry recession. I haven't heard that word much over the last couple of months.
Well, we're in a manufacturing recession. We have been for 12 months. So, well, we've been contracting for 12 months. I think contraction equals, in my mind anyway. I mean, maybe it's not technically, but as far as I'm concerned, when we're contracting, we're receding. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. I don't think I talked about that earlier. We've had about 6 contraction cycles in the last 20 years. The longest was the Great Recession. 18 months, under 50. Now, that stands to reason. We had structural, fundamental problems with systems, with companies. People had to be bought, absorbed, restructured. The federal government was actively involved in a whole bunch of stuff. That one is no big surprise. It's 18 months from the beginning to the recovery. All the others, the other 4 or 5, were 5 months, 5 to 6 months. We're now 12. So, here we go again. So, first, again, this pandemic has got another first here. So, first we were receding before the pandemic hit, and bam, off the cliff we went. And then before you knew it, somebody was throwing us back in the ball game. Within 3 months, we're recovering. Grow, over order. We're 14 months now into contracting new orders. That is huge. Talk about the over ordering effort. And that's why the new order level still in computers is in low 30s. So we over ordered, built a backlog, probably record backlogs at one point. And that, 12 months later, backlog's been contraction for 13 months. 13 months, we're still working off a backlog. It's shocking. So, first still, the pandemic is still driving first. When you mess around with the natural order, you don't know what to expect. And this is kind of where we're at. So I still think we're in the trough. This is lower than I thought I would have defined the trough last month. Trough to me was 48 to 52. All right, we're close to 47. Okay. I don't see us continuing to degrade unless the Fed sees something in all the economics that says, okay, we really got to step on the neck of this monster. And then, okay, not only will capital be constrained, but the entire forecast for 2024 will be constrained. I don't see any of that happening at present. But yeah, that's kind of where it's at.
What do you think about the interest rate, the Fed's?
Well, I think he's reporting out today, I think, right? Today the day? Today or tomorrow?
Yeah.
The consensus is there's not going to be any movement, but they've been saying higher for longer. What is that higher? I think that's still yet to come. I mean, look, I just mentioned that on the prices side, we've got stuff up and stuff down. And we're in a transition from stuff down going up. That's not a good sign. And I think the Fed's probably been looking at significant amount of an unemployment increase. So you either increase the amount of people looking for jobs, or you cut the amount of jobs. Either one of those raises the unemployment level. So, and we haven't gotten there yet. So I think they're still waiting in order to be able to safely say we beat the monster. I think they're looking for significant amounts of layoffs, because when you have layoffs, you automatically crush demand, because people don't go out and speculate on want to haves and like to haves when they're not sure if they're getting a paycheck the next day. So, and we just haven't had that. It hasn't been large scale. Not that it won't come. I still don't think. I think a soft landing, we can still get there. But this was a disappointing report from a demand standpoint. I think I could easily talk my way to a 47.5, but even then I was expecting 48 to 52. So I still think we'll hit 50 before the year's over, but that's probably a 65% chance.
It is interesting to me, Tim, that typically manufacturing in this kind of a down cycle leads the country into a recession. And when it pops above 50 for a while, it leads the country back out. But GDP has not reflected that. And there's another anomaly in GDP. It appears that the news media doesn't like the nominal number anymore, 2.1, 1.3, and they've shifted to something the Atlanta Fed is putting out called real GDP, or GDP now. So third quarter, they reported 4.9% GDP growth, which for the United States that averaged 3% nominal would be a fantastic number. So we're seeing very high GDP numbers in the positive range, and in manufacturing, it may be another first. It's not leading us into a recession.
Yeah, well, that's Tim. That's why I kind of watched the 45 or less. So let's talk about that. So the real number is 43 or less. Anything 43 or less is really concerning. But rather than look at the 43, okay, let's look at warning signs. 45. And in the month of September, only 7% of manufacturing was contracting at 45 or less. In the month of October, it's 37%. So we keep whipsawing. And the reason we're whipsawing is, computer electronics is 16% of manufacturing GDP. So if you subtract that from the 37, you're already at 22. So that's a huge amount. And you throw in machinery in there, you throw in fabricated metal products. I think all three of those are under 45. And there you have the difference between September and October. So I mean, fabricated metal products might come back now that the automotive guys are back up and running. That might not stay down. But machinery, I don't see machinery recovering quickly here. Not until there's more confidence in the forecast for the future. And, computer electronics, although we struggle with getting chips and things, that industry is hurt. It's hurting. And it has been hurting for a long time. So, which is shocking. I don't know that I can fully explain it all in a short period of time here. It probably takes a deep study, but here they are investing hundreds of billions of dollars in new computer electronics is more than just microelectronics. I guess that's the bottom line here. And we're coming off of 5G. There's a whole bunch of other stuff at the higher end of computer electronics that has kind of slowed down. The electric car has a lot of electronics on it now. And so there's a transition going on there. But if we could see computer electronics come back to a 51, 53 growth, that would change everything here. So let's
see that.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully before my time is done on this in this assignment. We're now 12 months. 12 months. Geez. And the average is 6. Wow.
Right. And the longest was 18. So it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes.
Yeah, this nowhere near matches the issues around the Great Recession. So there's 5 things that I've been watching for recovery. The first one is chemical products. And is it on a recovery cycle? I call that a green. I've called it a green for 3 months now. It's not at 50 plus, but it's not at 45 or less. So okay, so it's recovering. It's an aggregator. It sees all of the demand at the lowest levels of the bill of material coming from all the other industry sectors. That's why I'm watching chemicals. Right now, I'd say that's good. The percent under 45, I'd say right now is not good. That's another one I'm watching. That's not good. But we seem to be cycling because we've got these big hunks and it's you're either in or you're out. There's a little bit of on, off that is, okay, fine. Remember, I'm using this as an indicator. The third thing is the hire to fire ratio. It was positive this month, 1.3 to 1 versus 2 to 1 last month and 2 to 1 the prior month. I think that's positive. I think destaffing is positive right now because carrying extra people just adds to inventory, it adds to bloatedness, and it reduces profitability. You can't wish your way to recovery here. Demand is going to be there or it's not. If it's not, you got to take action. We've waited long enough, and I think that's a positive thing. The third one is transportation disruptions. Where is it? When it starts to show up, then I know it's like chemicals. I know there's all kinds of activity going on. People are trying to rush stuff through, and there's more coming than was there the prior month. There's hardly a peep around transportation disruptions. There's a little bit of noise in October compared to the last 6 months, but not enough to even really talk about. So when that starts to get noisy, then we'll that's a good positive thing. And the last one I watch is lead times. Now, our lead time numbers aren't showing it, but the comments are definitely supporting the fact that lead times are coming down. But they're not down at the trough level. They're still 20% higher than trough levels. And we've already come through a cycle. We've come through a decline, and we're seeing prices now go up. Those lead times are still too long. But I'm calling that green because they're much better than they were a year ago.
Without a doubt. One of the things that we're experiencing in the forging area regarding all metals and Forge Group is that the forging industry per se still has very long lead times. And, to see an 8 to 10 week delivery like we have, we're getting the benefit of seeing, except for this month, seeing a fair uptick in business because a lot of the other shops are out 15 weeks, some are 20 weeks, and that's problematic.
Yeah, well, yeah, forgings, castings have always been known to be long lead.
Yeah.
So Lou, is it the access to raw material or is it the capacity within your own shop? What is it?
Well, it's both. It's both. The steel industry per se is cooking with steel, not to be punny, but they have long lead times. Their prices have started to come down, but people are buying, so that you have the long lead time. So you have long lead time, and let's say in regards to the Ford shops, you have long lead time. They're waiting for material to get into production, and that's still problematic
Yeah. Yeah.
in most cases.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the four big things: castings, forgings, gears, and bearings. To me, those define long lead. And they always show up, and they're always a problem.
Actually, we were at the Motion and Power Technology Expo last week, which was the former Gear Expo, and everybody's busy. Everybody's busy, with the making of gears. The Ford shops are busy. There were about 5 or 6 of us that were there. We did about 12 or 14 interviews, which you can all watch on YouTube probably tomorrow. But it's very busy. Everybody's happy.
That's good.
So, Tim, are you looking for an above 50 PMI by the end of the year or near about?
I'm still hopeful. Yeah, I'm still hopeful. Not as much as I was last month, but I'm still hopeful. It could be there.
What do you think might drive it above?
Well, I think the new order number's got to come up. It's got to hit 48. 48 would be supportive. Okay, that's good. New order, the production number 51. No more than 52. Employment is still going to stay low. I'm expecting that to be 45, 44. So we're going to offset that. Supplier delivery 49.50. Inventories, manufacturing inventories 48. That'll get us to 50. And that's not beyond the realm of possibilities here. Because remember, we measure month to month.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the inventory number is it's a low risk. I think November you'll see that inventory number definitely get over 45, maybe 46. Supplier delivery number is probably going to inch up again because we don't have overwhelming demand. So 47.7 this month, probably 49 maybe next month. Production, like I said, 50, 52. Employment 44, 46. New order level 45, 48, 47, 48. I think that gets us close to 50. But I'm still thinking 48, 52. I think we could still see 50 before we close.
When does the post holiday season ordering kind of kick in? I'm assuming if you want something in a retail store, you ordered it months ago. You're not ordering it now.
Yeah. Well, so okay, with respect to manufacturing?
Yes, with respect to manufacturing, when does the post holiday season traditionally kick in? Is it wait till January, or do we see it now?
No, it's January, it's post January. But it depends on the product. If you're
Sure.
A lot of people are laying in orders now. They get their business plan done. November, they get it approved by the boards. Then they go and they place orders. Especially capital. Capital's going to flow in November, based on the board approval. You want to kind of reload for January. Most companies, serial production anyway, work on a calendar year. It's January through December. As you guys know, December is not a huge. It's not a huge activity month, but we adjust for that through the seasonal adjustment factors. So I would say probably somewhere. I think we're done for the holiday period. So I'm not really seeing. Probably February.
Yeah, could be. Lou, how's it feel to you?
I feel that I'm looking at the beginning of the year actually as a major uptick for us. I think that the forging industry is their deliveries are. There's no reason why their deliveries are going to go down because they're so backlogged now. That it's going to take a while to work off that backlog. I mean, our backlog has been consistent for this entire year. We haven't had any dips, no spikes, no dips. It's been the same numbers straight through. So I think that we probably represent pretty much what the industry is doing. I don't think that we're going to be that much different. But I'm looking forward to 2024. I think you're going to see the 50 starting, as you pointed out, in hopefully in December. Where else is it going to go? The January, February, March period of the year is, in my mind, is the beginning of a new marketing era. So
Right.
you're going to go from 50. I don't think you're going to go down. You've got 2 weeks in January where people are still recovering from their hangovers, but get back to work come the 15th of the month, and it goes straight through till May. At least
It's your view. Well, Tim, it's going to be interesting to see how it happens because they say that manufacturing has been below 50 now for 12 months. We have not seen a recession. Maybe we'll have a soft landing and maybe it'll be a touch and go. But thank you for joining us and sharing the ISM report with us again. By the way, this is November 1st, and in 3 days, we will complete our 10th broadcasting year, which began with the ISM Manufacturing Report on Business. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah,
I want to thank you and ISM for all those years and all that information. And has your size changed yet, for the yellow jacket?
I don't think so. Not yet.
All right. It's been written down, so you never know.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for helping us get the word out to the community for sure. We take this really seriously as a representative of all the panel members. We really appreciate the outlet here to get out to as many people as possible. Because what we do, I think, helps people decide where they're headed in their jobs and personally. So thanks for your participation in all this.
Thank you much, and we enjoy it.
Okay.
And for all of those who have been watching Manufacturing Talk Radio, if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. If you're on a podcast platform where you're just listening, subscribe to that as well and come visit us at mfgtalkradio.com. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us.
Okay. Thanks.
And don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the share button.
Right.
We appreciate that. Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
Good November.
That's our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, please like and subscribe, share on social media, or leave a review. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Rumble, or your favorite podcast app. Visit us online at mfgtalkradio.com for our other episodes. We have also included links to our advertisers below. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.